Hello, everybody. This is the Firelands Podcast. I'm here with Jason.
What's up?
And our guest tonight, Cheryl Lynn Carter. How are you, Cheryl?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you, Jay? How are you doing? Have you survived the storms?
Yeah. We didn't. I thought that I saw a rough edge of it, and that's when I was like, "Hey, dude, it's coming your way." And did you guys? It built so much momentum between the time that I left Fort Wayne until the time that it hit Sandusky. It was ridiculous.
Well,
I mean, you guys definitely got the worst end of it.
I was when I talked to you on the phone, I told you, I was like, it looks like it's going the other direction. It's going straight north. It's not going to hit us. And then several hours later, the State Theater in our town collapsed. It blew a brick building over. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's pretty crazy. What's up, Jason Lehman?
How you doing?
that was kind of freaky, man. Because I don't know if did they ever technically report a tornado? Yeah, somebody got a video of a tornado, right?
They did, but that was a fake video. It's not. It's not real.
Figure.
It's not real. There was no tornado. There was no sirens. We got a pretty good early warning system here in Ohio, and it did not go off. There was no tornado. It was just
a straight dirt show wind, which is just a huge wall.
Yeah, just microbursts. And I think they had gust up to 85 miles an hour. So
wow.
Yeah, I know that what I went through. I mean, it was terrible. And you look in the video, that was only probably about the last 45 seconds of it.
Right. Well, it was strong enough to snap telephone poles. I mean, it snapped telephone poles. It was strong.
Yeah.
I thought it was a tornado too at first, but the National Weather Service is declaring it not a tornado, so I'm just going to go with what they're saying.
There wasn't any rotational damage here whatsoever, but everything was just kind of knocked over. But everything was all facing the same direction, and that tells you right there there's no rotational damage. And that they confirmed it that night. They were just like, "Yep, it's just like an 85 mile an hour wind that just came through, and it was just terrible." So
we had big trees. We had great big trees pulled up by the roots.
Oh yeah, Cheryl, you guys up there in Michigan got it a lot worse than either of us because you had huge cells going through.
It wasn't by me. I heard a little rumble of thunder. It rained for 10 minutes and nothing. When I went to work the next day at St. Clair Shores, the trees were all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It was nothing by me.
Wow.
Jackie.
They're by the lake, so.
Hey, Jackie Hicks, how you doing? So let's get to the bread and butter of this, Cheryl. You and I have known each other for about how long, would you say?
I don't know.
I'll say maybe 5 or 6 years at least.
At least, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And one thing that I do know about you is that you are ultra busy. You and a lot of people associate you with just the fact that you're a psychic medium and that you're a paranormal investigator, but people really don't realize the broad belief system and the different fields of the unknown that you're actually interested in. I mean, it goes all the way to you being a member of the Michigan MUFON, right? Okay. Cool. And also, too, just recently, as 2 years ago, you actually played Rosalie's mother in Christopher Maggard's first full-length movie called Rosalie, which is really a good one. Christopher's a good friend of mine. Obviously, there's the DVD cover right there. I don't know if you guys can see it with the glare or not, but
kind of a little bit.
He did a lot of producing of his own paranormal TV show on for Roku, and he moved on from that and kind of got out of the paranormal and went straight into nothing but producing and directing and filmmaking. So. And then Cheryl plays a big part in that movie as well, and did an awesome job. I mean, there was a side of you that came out that I didn't even know that you had inside of you.
I didn't know I could do this. I just did it.
I mean, from the photos to the acting and the parts of the movie, I thought that you did a fabulous job. It was really, really great. So you and I basically know each other from, well, number one, the conferences and the conventions, the bunches of them that I'm involved in planning and promoting every year. And then, of course, I think where you were also at St. Albans Asylum as well, right?
I was going to say we traveled with Keith, yeah. We traveled around with Keith, yeah.
Yeah, and they were filming the Coexistence TV show. And so we worked together there a little bit, not much, but we did. We were so compartmentalized because they had cameras on several of us throughout the night. So it was just, everybody was scattered. And then, Mid-South, gosh, you're a Mid-South veteran. And of course, you've been to Post Town a couple times, and you've been to the Hannah House Paranormal Meet and Greet as well. So, we've certainly crossed paths, but you were really, really busy. Like, you constantly are traveling to go somewhere, and like you said, it's a bummer because you've had so many cancellations, this year just from the COVID thing, and then, just fallout from just not having enough time to know what's going on, to plan these conventions and all that stuff. People are folding. It's just better that way. I get it. So what do you have coming up that you're looking forward to?
Well, my plans for next weekend got canceled, so I decided I'm going to go back to Serpent Mound.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was there once. Cool. I was there 2 years ago. I actually stopped there on my way to St. Albans, so that's how long ago it's been.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But it was November, so I didn't stay there too long because it was like 50 degrees outside, so I just kind of walked around, got back in the truck, and kept going. But I'm going to go spend a couple days down there now. Now that I know more about the history and all that stuff, I want to spend a lot of time there.
It's a beautiful
Take all my
place.
equipment with me.
It's a beautiful place.
I haven't been there.
It's awesome. If you haven't been, you've got to go at least once. It's really cool, man.
I know that a lot of people.
The energy is just crazy. The energy's crazy there.
That's what I've heard. A lot of people that I know that have been there, it's just been like the energy from driving up to it and getting out and walking around and all that stuff it has to be experienced. It's unlike anything else.
So Cheryl, you're going to be there the 20th during the summer solstice?
No, I'll be there on Friday.
Oh, okay. Because we were there. I went about 10 years ago, and it just happenstance. We didn't plan it out. We were there on the summer solstice. It's really cool how
I thought they canceled the summer solstice.
Did they cancel it? Well, I mean, this is 10 years ago.
Because I was supposed to go, and I thought they canceled it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you can cancel the events, but the summer solstice is going to happen regardless.
Yeah, the summer solstice. We were there about 10 years ago during the summer solstice, and it was just happened to be. It was just happenstance that we were there, and the way the sun sets, it's really weird how it all lines up. It's really crazy.
I'm writing a new book about Earth energies, and that's going to be part of my book. And I'm just finding out all this stuff. And right down the road, they had crop circles. There's just all kinds of, and it's connected to the mound. There's all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Can't wait.
So, is your book going to cover ley lines and all that then?
Yes, it will.
Cool.
There's actually ley lines under the Serpent Mound. I'm finding stuff out that I didn't know before.
I didn't know
Isn't it funny how a lot of those line up? Same thing with Stonehenge and a lot of other places that we know about. It's funny that when you look up with those ley lines, you see that those main streams of energy cross right through some of those most mysterious places all over the world, and it's so crazy.
Yeah,
well, it's actually the site of a meteor impact.
Oh wow!
The mound, right at the head of the serpent. You remember the big hole?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the meteor fell.
No kidding.
I didn't know that. I did not know that about that.
Either.
That is freaking awesome. Yeah. So now you've authored a couple books, right? So your latest one, which I'm like 2 chapters in, called Dimensions: Mysterious Triangles of the U.S. Very, very cool. The best thing, you got it. See, I got my copy right here. Mine's signed. Yeah. So right off the bat, the one thing that I thought was really, really cool was the foreword of your book was by Bill what is it? Bill Konkoleski. Is that how his name is pronounced? Yeah. Okay. Yep, which is the state director of the Michigan MUFON. So that was really cool too. But then it says, "Thank you, Sherilyn Carter, for this great book. It brings back my desire to know what's really going on." John Goulet, Fire in the Sky. Yeah. And then it also says, once again, Sherilyn Carter gives us the in-depth look into explaining the unexplainable. I respect your work and value you as a researcher, writer, and a friend. Looking forward to see what comes next. This never-ending quest into the unknown. Steve Pierce, Fire in the Sky. It's great. There's no doubt that you have the respect of some very, very respected names in the field. And it's really funny to me, Cheryl, because it wasn't just so long ago that I sent a message to you and I had said, what was that message? What did I say to you when you had that talk and you first started to kind of open yourself up and become this persona? What did I say? I don't quite remember. Do you remember what I said? Oh, you have arrived? Is that what it was?
You said that when we were at St. Paul's, right before we went to investigate, somebody was messaging me and just trashing me. Mm-hmm. And I was all upset. And instead of you saying, "Oh, it's okay," you just came up to me and said, "Congratulations." And I looked at you and said, "What?" And you said, "Congratulations, you've arrived. You must be doing something right." I'll never forget that.
And you're right. Okay. And it doesn't seem like it's been just so long ago, but since then you have done so freaking much. It's been really fun watching you because your passion shows in everything that you do. Gosh, you're so active and you're so open-minded. And so you've done so many of these investigations. Do you keep track? Count? Do you know how many investigations you've done?
No idea. I just do it.
But probably 2 or 3 weekends out of a month, you're traveling, are you not?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
If not almost every single weekend, you are doing something in the paranormal. You're definitely one of the busiest people that are out there. So, and I saw you traded in for some new wheels too. You got some new wheels to travel in.
Yeah. We're going on our first trip this weekend, yeah.
So let me ask you this now. How many miles did the other gremlin have that you got rid of? How many miles did it have?
98,000.
And was that brand new when you bought it?
Yep, had 6 miles on it, yeah. It was hard. It was hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine that's hard.
It was still running good, but my mechanic says, "I don't know if you should be traveling on this much longer." So.
That's good advice.
18 years old,
All right.
It was a 2002.
Wow. So you put 192,000 miles on that thing in 18 years, and most of it was probably in the last 5. Right, I'm sure. The last 5 years was probably the biggest majority of those miles.
Yeah, because I don't drive that much to work, yeah.
Yeah, you don't. And you don't fly very often either. You're always in the car going somewhere, right?
I'd rather drive because you stop and see things along the way that you don't know are there.
Right.
Like all these cool old cemeteries. You can't see that when you're flying.
Right.
I
actually have some MUFON questions if you don't mind answering them.
Okay.
How did that start for you? How did becoming a member of MUFON happen?
Well, I've been interested in stuff like that since I was in high school. Mm-hmm. Because my father used to bring Popular Mechanics home, and in the back there was stuff about UFOs.
Right.
So here I was in high school reading stuff like this.
Yeah.
That's a cool reference too, because I know exactly what you mean, but I've never heard anybody ever mention it before.
The Popular Mechanics, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, in the back of the magazines.
In the quirky shit that they had in the back sides of those magazines. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, most girls in high school didn't read that stuff.
Of course.
I was very weird.
Do you go out and are you an investigator or are you just like a supporting member?
No, I'm not an investigator. I wouldn't have time to be an investigator. That's like a full-time job in its own. You know, I have a real job. I can't do that.
Okay.
You know, but I'm a member of a CE5 group. Mm-hmm. We do sky watches.
Okay.
That's cool.
Okay. I was just curious is all. I've never met anybody that's like personally that's a member of MUFON, so I just those were just a couple questions I had. That's
Yeah, I mean that'd be fun, but it's you have to actually go to somebody's house and you got to research all this stuff, and I just wouldn't have time to do that, you know.
Yeah.
Because it could be anywhere in the state of Michigan. I don't have time to be driving around, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. In the middle of the night, we got a call. You got to go up there now. And it's like, I can't do that. I got to be at work in 5 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Indiana has a MUFON chapter as well. I know a couple people from that. But, you know, I don't. I've tried to get MUFON people into several of the paranormal conferences, and a lot of people just don't like to do it. You know, I'm like,
people don't intermingle. If I go to an event about aliens, you're not going to find paranormal people there.
I know, and I've been trying to merge them along with the cryptids.
Don't you find
to put them all together?
Don't you find that kind of odd?
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm talking about the paranormal people don't come to MUFON events. MUFON has no problem with paranormal. Oh. It's the paranormal people that don't want to come. I don't know.
And it's the same way with them. I mean, when I invite cryptid researchers, you know, aside from Jody Cook and a few other people that would come, they're like, you know, it's not really our scene. A lot of people who are into ghosts really aren't into what we're into. I'm like, yeah, you're kind of wrong about that, dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, maybe it's not your squeeze, you know, your squeeze of juice or whatever you want to call it. You know, the people aren't there mainly to see you.
Right, but you guys can all sell your juice at the same stand, you'd think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what
I
mean?
we had a couple at Mid-South last year, though.
Oh, yeah. We always have one or two, but you can never, I mean, but what, you know, I know probably 15 cryptid researchers.
I do too, yeah.
You know? And they don't really like to do much. But I can tell you this, like the alien conventions and the UFO conventions out west are freaking meccas.
Right.
They're huge
I wish
out
I could
there.
go to one. Jeez.
They're huge out there. I mean, I'd love to go out to Roswell for their big annual to do that they have out there and meet George Norrie and a bunch of people.
That's bucket list for me.
Yeah.
Roswell, New Mexico's bucket list for me. I want to get my picture taken next to the extraterrestrial highway sign. That's got to happen. You know what I mean? That's got to happen, bro.
Yeah, and of all the times to storm Area 51, like now you would think would be the time to do it, but you know. It's some strange days we're living in, and Roswell, New Mexico, is quite the touristy place. I mean, everybody out there now has little aliens everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, there's little alien stands all over the place. I mean, it's just so like I'd love to be able to go out there for two different reasons. I'd like to be able to go out there for Burning Man, and I'd like to be able to go out there for the annual UFO con that they have out there because it just looks like a freaking blast. Humongous. I mean, you want to talk about people in the droves. Yeah. I mean, you know, we're not talking like, hey, 1,000 people through a weekend's a great weekend, and out there they're putting bracelets on, you know, 10 to 15,000 people in a 2-day period. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, so I definitely want to go. I want to see what it's all about at some point in time.
Sounds like a road trip to me. I don't know. It sounds like plans need made.
Yeah.
Plans need
at least. So tell me something, Cheryl. Out of all the places that you've investigated, I'm not going to tell you to name your favorite because that's a tough one, even for me.
It is hard because they're all special in their own way. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do you have a top 3? Can I go top 3 with you? Can you do that?
Okay. Madison Seminary in Ohio.
I haven't been there yet.
Oh, I'm going back in July. Oh my gosh.
I gotta check that out.
Every single room in that place is active.
Really? Okay.
What was this?
I've heard good things about Madison Seminary.
Okay. Never heard of it.
Where's that at? Where's that at again, Cheryl?
In Madison, Ohio.
Madison, Ohio.
Okay. I have to look into
It's
that.
like 3 hours from me, yeah.
It's like an hour and a half from Fort Wayne. That's all it is from here.
So you have
it's a short drive. There. I know, I really do. I need to jump on one of these. But you know me, though. I don't like to jump into these crowded investigations. I want to wait and get them, and I always like to rent them, for me and my people. And so
it's a private one I'm going to. Yeah, we're having a private
cool.
one.
Very cool. Because getting a herd of people together and getting dates together is really hard. Because I'm hard to nail down myself. So you think that's like number 3, number 1? Is that?
Well, that'd be number 1 for me.
Okay. All right. What are the others now?
Oh, gee. I think Post Town is really good.
Really? You put Post Town up there, huh?
Yeah,
I know that you of a few people have had some really great experiences there.
Yeah. I've been there probably 7 times already. It's just.
Yeah. Okay. I've investigated, I think, 4 times now. 4 times, but I'm always there with a large group, so I rarely ever get time to hunker down and get into the place.
When we were filming Rosalie there, we would film during the day and we could investigate at night. So that was fun.
Was there anything paranormal that happened while you guys were on set?
No.
No. Nothing happened in there while you guys were filming or anything that you remember, huh? Isn't that strange?
Wait. One time we were done with the scene, and then we did hear some stuff being knocked out in the corner. We don't know who did it.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't get caught on camera or anything because we were starting to break the scene down. Yeah.
Right. All right. That had to have been a blast working with Santiago.
You got to investigate with him. That's something else because he's afraid.
Is he really? Is he one of the? Is he a chicken? So he is just like he is in the movie. Then he's kind of like I don't want to fuck with it kind of person, huh?
Yeah, because we're walking around and he kept screaming. I'm going, shut up.
That's great.
Santiago is something else. I mean, the guy's just. I'd love to have him on the podcast. I have no idea what type of subject matter we could possibly even mesh with.
Just let him talk.
Just let him go.
Let him have to leave, yeah.
He's entertaining, to say the least. So yeah, just a background information on Santiago. He's an actor and does a lot of the paranormal conventions too, TJ.
Okay.
And I think one of his most notable roles was about 10.5 minutes in The Walking Dead.
Oh.
In season 5 as Julio in the jailbreak.
Oh, so, okay. Okay, cool.
But yeah, he's just a really cool guy, super animated dude, full of energy. Just good to be around. So, but okay, so Post Town's a good one. And of course, we know the Wismans really well, and they're just amazing freaking people too. And that's what makes it even better. So, what else you got?
Put Waverly Hills up there.
Oh yeah, you have to put Waverly up there.
I know.
That's
Tell me about some
bucket list.
stuff.
I'd love to go
Tell me about some things that have happened to you at Waverly.
I love the Death Tunnel. I've been there a few times.
Well, you can't get into that no more, right? They got that completely
I don't
shut
know.
off.
I think you can.
I thought they completely shut that off now.
I think I saw people a few weeks ago down there. I think
Well, they may have shut it down and then renovated part of it because they've been doing an awful lot of work there. There's a team there tonight, and I saw bulldozers and shit in the parking lot. It looked like they've been cleaning it up really well on the outside. So it's a possibility.
I had some crazy stuff. I'm just walking down. We're walking down to the bottom. All I could see was this little sliver of light down at the bottom, and you're on that 500-foot incline.
Yeah.
And you're walking down, and when you finally get to the bottom, you look back at the top, and now all you see is a little sliver of light back on the top, and I keep thinking, I hope the flashlight doesn't go out on me.
Right.
And I just had my recorder going the whole time. Wasn't asking questions or anything, but wow, the stuff I got on my recorder.
Yeah,
so don't walk down there without your recorder.
They were talking amongst themselves about you guys as you were moving through the tunnel?
Well, some of them were saying, help me, and then the one, I'm glad I didn't hear that. We played it when we got to the top, and I heard this real creepy voice that had to be right behind me, and he goes, I'm gonna get you.
That's crazy.
Good God, freaking crazy. That would have creeped me out, man.
Well, I didn't hear it till I got on the top, so it didn't creep me out.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, Waverly is a very, very interesting place to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to plan and get us rent a place for the night and get a private bus to go in there. That would be really good. But it's pulling 10 to 12 or 15 people together that want to pay $100 a pop for the night and can get away and do it.
That's not a bad price, though.
No, it's not. It's not. It's absolutely not a bad price. It's just getting everybody on one page. That's all it is.
I'm curious, and maybe you two could, shed a little light on this for me, but how do locations like Waverly Hills that are pretty much, I don't know if derelict is the word, but, properties like that, how do those properties like that, how do they stay around? I mean, are they owned by private owners? I mean,
Yes.
And
yes.
do the upkeep on things? I mean, because I'm sure a building like that, I mean, just being from the trades, I mean, I know there's got to be a lot of issues with the place. Do they survive on donations, say to upkeep, like the roof leaks or whatever the case may be?
Yep.
Now,
yep.
That being said, since you're saying that's how that works, and you're saying they're doing work around there, does the old adage, like when you start to modify or work on places like this, does the activity seem to ramp up, or is that just an old wives' tale?
Oh, and that's a really good question. I might know a little bit more about its humble beginnings than Cheryl, but I'm not too sure because Cheryl completely surprises me. But I'll take the start on this because I definitely want to know what her opinion is.
It used to be an old tuberculosis hospital, correct? Because I actually had a relative that was actually a patient there and actually died there. So my grandmother's father actually died there of TB. So.
Oh, your great grandfather.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it started off as a TB hospital, obviously, and filled up really quickly. But in the 70s, it was phased out because of all the vaccinations that come to light and all that stuff. And then it was turned into a nursing home on just a few levels of it. And it operated until, I want to say, the early 1980s, like 1981, 1982. I think they shut their doors and shuttered it because even then as a nursing home, the claims of the terrible facilities and the mistreatment of patients was terrible there then too. So it lay dilapidated for a long time. And then the Mattingleys actually bought Waverly Hills. I'm sure they got it on a fire sale at a cheap price. And his dad, Joe Mattingly, actually was a resident. I think it was his dad or grandfather was actually a resident of Waverly Hills and actually lived to be part of the Booth Brothers documentary on it. But the Mattingleys still own it today. And basically, before it became, one of America's most haunted destinations, it was a haunted place up on a hill in Louisville. And Keith Age and the Louisville Ghost Hunter Society were the ones to go in there and do a lot of the first investigating.
Really?
In the cleaning of that. Yeah, Keith Age
kidding.
is the one who basically put that place on the map.
Wow. Okay.
So, they started with the cleanup of everything, the grounds, because when you walk through there in the early days, in the late or mid 90s, there was trash up to your knees. I mean, that's where everybody had gone to party. There was a lot of homelessness in there. I mean, it was just dilapidated and beat to shit. And they were part of the cleanup efforts. Now, I know that there was a huge amount of cleanup efforts that was done over several years, things like that. Subsequently in that time, that's when the Booth Brothers were filming the Death Tunnel, the movie. Of course, that's when we heard Keith in our last week episode, 2 weeks ago, interview, when he was talking about them contacting him because they kept getting that shadow figure in that shower scene. So, they contacted Keith because they were like, who do we talk to about this? And everybody's like, we'll get a hold of Keith Age because he's the guy who knows most about this place. And from then, it just became a mecca. Then it became a paranormal a tourist attraction. So, Yeah. I mean, in order to keep a place like that, I can imagine the property taxes on a place like that are in the thousands of dollars. So in order to be able to continue to keep work up on a building that big, I mean, think about it now. They've been hosting investigations there for roughly 20 years,
right.
And it's only improved year after year after year. I mean, it's gotten nicer.
Oh, okay.
There's been rumors that they're actually going to build a hotel in there. Am I right, Cheryl? They were actually starting to build a hotel?
Last time I was there, you could see part of it where they are trying to make it into rooms for a hotel, yeah.
No kidding. And they turn it into a haunted house during Halloween season, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they do all kinds of stuff up there, but make no mistake about it. You can't get anywhere near Waverly Hills unless you are invited or there for an event, because right when you turn off of the road are the main gates, the big steel gates that you see that says Waverly Hills above it, and what you don't see is there are cameras on each side of those gates, and the gates are padlocked, and you only get in by via security or whoever's going to be leading a group that night or whoever's there meeting a group for their private investigation. So you're in and you're locked in basically until, you said let us out. But you can't get anywhere near Waverly Hills without having permission or going up that hill and having that gate unlocked.
You can't even get down that little one-way lane road. They only open that up when the people are coming to investigate. That's closed off too. They watch everything. Yeah. You can't get in there.
You can't. Yeah. So you can't just be in Louisville and be like, hey, I'm going to go drive by Waverly. You can't do it. You'll see the gates that it's famous. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to be there as a guest. And now they do pen light tours, 2-hour tours, 4-hour tours, public investigations, private investigations. Like I said, it's Sunday and there's a team there right now. They're going live at 11 o'clock tonight. I can't remember who's there, but they're part of one of the teams that attends our events pretty frequently. So even on Sundays they're there, and I'm pretty sure that Monday through Friday you're able to rent it as well.
I totally want to go there. That's got to happen
but
too. I got to do that
Waverly,
too.
Waverly is one of those places though that they don't open up booking until like February, and if you don't get right on it, they're sold out.
Wow.
They do that well.
Wow.
So
now the hotel is that's the owners are like, we're going to have a haunted hotel. Is that kind of the allure? Is that what they're shooting for? Or is they just
it's definitely going to be haunted? I mean,
right. I mean, are they doing that with that in mind? I mean, or are they just trying to?
She never told me that part.
Okay.
I don't know, but how can it not be?
Right.
People would want to stay there anyway.
Of course.
Like it's in the middle of the woods.
Right.
A normal person's not going to want to stay there.
Right. That's
cool.
I mean, unless everything else is booked, and you're just like somebody's like, look, I don't give a shit, honey. Let's just take the kids somewhere.
I mean, it's kind of scary if you're not in the paranormal. Just driving down that road to get there,
right. Yeah. On Google, it looks like it's nice and warm, but that 3-minute drive up the hill can have you changing your fucking mind really quick. Where are we going? I don't care if these things are $59.99.
Right.
It's cheap.
You pull up and you see gargoyle in the yard, and you go, okay.
You're right. That's hilarious.
So, now, Cheryl, you can help me out with this now, because you've been there how many times?
Probably about 5 times.
I've been there twice. Okay, so now you've been there probably before, during, and maybe after they've started some of that construction there, right? Because the last time I was there, it was nice and cleaned up, don't get me wrong, but they hadn't started with the hotel and all that stuff at that point. So now have you noticed... a difference in the hauntings or the activity there since they have started that construction?
Yeah.
You think so? You think it's definitely ramped up?
Well, and they're walking through walls that weren't walls before. Here you go, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could understand that. I mean, I could totally see that, but I just kind of wondered if the activity itself has gotten more, prevalent since they started doing things. I mean, obviously tearing walls down and building walls, has that made it more of an active place? Because the reason why I say this is because when I first went to Waverly Hills, it was a very, very active location the night that we were there. And I immediately fell in love with it. And because there were several parts that literally I almost pissed my pants. And I'm sure a couple times I dribbled just because of the things, and then your mind plays tricks on you. And if you're ever in any of those hallways or in an entire wing at 2 a.m. and you are by yourself and shit legitimately happens, okay, the only logical thing that you can do at that point is just pee a little bit. I mean,
yeah, because you can look down that one hallway and you'll see the doctor standing there in his doctor's coat, and there's a little boy in front of him. You can clearly see it standing at the end of the hallway there.
Now that would have scared the shit out of me, but I'm just talking more along the lines of like it being dark, and even when you got a flashlight on, you still can't illuminate the entire hallway because their hallways are big and they're very, very dark. They're very long. So unless you got like one of those 10 million candle powered fucking kangaroo spotters, you know, your light only gets you about 10 feet in front of you in the vast darkness in that building. So the things that move around just outside of the shadow of the light, or being able to see where the moonlight comes in the windows and you can see the shadows moving in rooms that you're walking towards. Or for me, it was walking and then stopping and hearing something and then looking back where I came from. And then that's where I started to kind of hear doors creaking and the shadows moving underneath the doors. And my whole thing was I was by myself. Nobody was on the floor. Nobody could hear me, even if I screamed, I don't think. Mm-hmm. And I had to go back that way in order to get out of that wing. Yeah. And many, many, many times I've been in situations, that one literally scared me to pieces. I was like, I literally don't want to walk back because I don't know how far I got to get to reach the others because they were all doing their other thing, and it's a huge building, right? Yeah. But it was freaky because the more you sit there and think, the more your mind plays tricks on you at the same time, and you just know you're in for a night. But now let me say this: the second time we went back, it was uneventful, very, very uneventful, and I was with a totally different group of people.
See, it's the energy from the people you're with, I swear.
I mean, I even put myself back in that situation, back down that same hallway, because I was just begging to feel something like I felt the first time that I was there, and nothing. Nothing. You know, I mean, I'll tell you this: at the very, very end of the night, we were getting ready to pack up and getting ready to leave and walk out of the door and head out to the car. And we heard this large guttural scream inside of the building, but it wasn't like it was a human scream, but it was like a scream that was like a million miles away, but it was just in the building. Wow. So it was almost like, to the way we described it it sounded like somebody that was in another dimension that was screaming loud enough to hear it, which is almost like a whisper to us, but it was guttural. And you can just tell that it was, and that was right at the end of the night. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. Let's just go. I mean, even after that night of everything we went through, I mean, it was like we almost couldn't leave there without it at least leaving with one gift. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple of people that were like, I had some experiences, but I got to admit I'm disappointed. So, now my question is, Cheryl, is that sometimes do you think that these places that have been investigated over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, do you think that they become less active?
Yeah, because look at you got the people coming in asking the same old questions. And light the flashlight up and light the lights up. I don't do those things. I hate that. Yeah, and you just get
especially when you manipulate the you have to loosen it up so
it doesn't work anyway. But the spirits are probably going, that's stupid.
Just as from a non-paranormal investigator's point of view, I mean, I used to do a little bit, but I'm not a pro like you guys. Just me thinking about like what you just said, that like something gets over investigated. When I talk to someone about the same thing every single day, I get disinterested. So I want to interact less. So if these are human spirits, they're probably just bored. You know what I mean? They're just looking for some kind of different social interaction, maybe.
That's why I always ask different questions, and I don't expect them to perform like a dog. That's how some people see them. Right. And they're not going to respond to you. So it's your intent. If you want something to respond to you that night, you better have the right intent. They can feel your intent,
Right, the right intent, the right interaction. You know what I mean? You want, it's
right.
Yeah, it makes. At least that's what makes sense to me, anyways.
I'm guilty of that because I'm the least empathetic person when it comes to asking questions when it comes to EVP, because when I ask questions, it's impossible for me to sound natural when I'm asking them.
All right.
So, like a lot of times I will have team members that will elicit different responses from different things because maybe Sam is, she's got a softer voice and she's a little bit more gentle when she speaks, where I'm like, if there's somebody that's in here, I want you to physically move something or physically tap on something now.
Right.
And she's all like, oh, honey, did something happen to your mom and dad? And and I'm bummed the hell out because I'm not getting responses or whatever, or the responses that I do get are usually the more aggressive ones. So I mean, I get
you're being
that.
aggressive, so you're getting that back. Exactly.
And I don't mean to be like, I'm always like, hey, look, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or nothing, but I sound like an asshole naturally. I'm sorry, but because I can see the spirits and I can hear them, where a lot of other people can't. That's what I'm saying. But you're actually a psychic medium, so you see things.
I know what to say because I know who I'm talking to, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Well, that would help, obviously, and you're obviously practiced in Reiki as well, if I'm not mistaken. Did I read that? Okay, right on. So for me, I'm not that person. There's only been a few times in all of the investigating that I've ever done that I've actually walked in and felt something that made me not want to be there, or that I felt something that changed, whether it went from, boy, this environment feels thick and feels nasty, to it feels like a day at church. There's no feeling here. Very, very few times do I do that because, so in that specific instance, I have to rely on personal experiences and tools that I use in the field, and I have to be clever with that. Because it's not about capturing evidence. You can look all over the place. I don't share anything anymore. I used to share all of it, and it really didn't mean anything, I rarely ever go around looking at people's evidence because I dispute so much of it, because it's, for me, and, it's not about trying to convince anybody. This is, it's my personal journey, so I don't feel like, when I talk to people, I'm like, you want to hear some shit? I got some recordings for if you want to hear some things.
Right. I don't share my recordings anymore because you remember I had people saying that I faked them, so I don't share them anymore.
Well, that's the problem with this community is that it's full of haters. And here's the thing: I don't ever feel the need that I need to continue to produce evidence in order to be a viable name or a contributor to this community.
That's why I do not show my EVPs anymore. Nope.
I think and I feel that enough people in this community know me. A lot of people on the West Coast and the Southern and down in the South really don't know me as well as the North and the East, and I'm all right with that. But Midwest. But I stay linked and I communicate with just enough people that it keeps me happy. I don't care about nothing else in that regard. But what I do think about is things like going back to if places are over investigated. Now, if so much of everything that we deal with is energies, then the more energy that you would have passing through there, and the more that the natural fields of energy are molested by the different types of energies coming through, you would think that would specifically change from time to time. It absolutely would, right?
Right, because we're leaving our energy there. Someday somebody's going to go in and pick up an EVP of us saying something. Everything that we're doing is leaving an imprint in time. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. And one of the things that we used to do in the early days is because we realized that if you wanted a house, to be at its most natural way, the worst thing in the world that you want to do to show up for an investigation and go and start opening windows and doors and bring in 9 or 10 people into a small area, because you're disturbing that natural atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't beyond us to show up at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock or even noon in the afternoon and set up all of our gear and then go away. And then we would only come back when it was time to investigate. We wanted everything in its natural sense. We didn't I mean, we obviously wanted to make sure that furnaces were off, air conditioners were off, things like that were off, so they weren't, messing with the temperatures and EMF and things like that. But we wanted to have the house at its most natural condition as possible while we were in there, because that's when people most likely have a lot of their experiences. In the evening while they're sitting down and watching TV, first thing in the morning, right at bedtime when they're laying down, and the house is at its quietest.
It's not necessarily the night that brings the sun. It's maybe more the stillness of the day. You know what I mean? And just early morning and late afternoon, evening is usually when you're most still in your home. In the afternoon you're busy cooking, mowing the lawn, and you're probably not more attuned to what's going on around you because of. I just think that's a common misconception that the only time that you can have have any paranormal activity is in the evening. You know what I mean? Like, you got to run around in the dark.
I think that's a TV concept that everybody's, because I've probably got my best evidence during the daytime.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that, and I'm completely cool with daytime investigating. The only thing that I don't like to do is I don't like to investigate. And I do a lot of inner city. Cheryl, you've been through a lot of inner city historic buildings. As many, if not more, than I have. You sometimes, even at 1 o'clock in the morning, can't get good recordings, because if you're downtown, say somewhere investigating in Indianapolis, and you're dealing with the bar crowds and there's people 6 blocks away, you can hear blowing horns and the Hannah House is good for that. It's like Hannah House doesn't quiet down until like 2 freaking a.m. And you're already tired.
I was at Mineral Springs last year, and it was during the summer, and you could hear everybody in the bars out on the sidewalk. You go, only in the one part. If you went to the other part, you were okay. But I'm going, really?
That's Mineral Springs Hotel, I take it, huh? And I've heard that too. I've heard that. So
that's a cool place too.
It is, and so to me, it adds to the spooky factor, but after so long, it really just disappears. There is no spooky factor, and there comes a point to where, if you're passionate about this field, it goes from being a love and being interested in all the things that could happen, and it literally just becomes work. It really does. At some point in time, it becomes work when you're setting up equipment. And for us, we had investigator sheets, everything. We had equipment logs. It was exactly what was being used, and we literally got ourselves so technical that we weren't enjoying the actual paranormal aspect of things. So, now I like to show up like the old school doctor who just had like a briefcase full of fucking shit. And that's the way I like to keep it. I really don't like to, anymore. I really like to hunker down in a place and really become one with it and spend hours in there with a flashlight and a voice recorder.
That's what I do. People go, "Oh, don't you have cases of equipment?" I said, "Nope."
I do, but I don't.
Well, I don't bring it with me. No.
I've got tons of cases of equipment. Right. This is what I want to work with. You want to set that shit up?
Right.
It takes hours to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And then at 3 o'clock in the morning, when it's time to wrap up,
nobody then you wants take it all down again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And you got to categorize all that stuff, and then you got to log it all out if you get into it. And it's a pain in the butt, and even more, it's a lot more stuff that, you have to review, audio, video.
Yeah. Are you scared of sump pumps, Jason?
I'm not, but I know somebody who is. I'm not, but I know somebody who is, and that's actually a really, really funny story behind that. We were doing a residential investigation, and we were in like 45 minutes into it, maybe an hour into it, and we decided that we were going to change positions where everybody was in this house. And Sam, and I think she was with one of our other investigators. I want to say it was Kurt Denny. Curtis and her were down in the basement, and it was as quiet as can be. Nobody knew anything about a damn sump pump the entire night. Nobody knew about it. The homeowner hadn't told us about it. And just out of the blue at like 12:30 at night, in a complete silence of everything, this fucking thing goes off. And you can hear them all the way down in the basement from across the house where I had the command station set up. Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ! I mean, it literally scared the shit out of them. just one of the funny things that happens sometimes on investigations. It'll really get you.
We were at the old mill in Michigan, and they have an elevator. It's just a single passenger elevator. You're not allowed to use it. And I was down in the basement, and I was with a teenager. This was his first time investigating, and we're down there, and the motor from the elevator turned on, and I swear he almost jumped into my arms.
Now let me ask you a question. First of all, I want to acknowledge Jackie Hicks down there, because she's been in the chat room a lot too. Jackie and is one half of the Paris Sisters duo with Tina Hicks Leno, and we'll hopefully have those guys on the podcast here in a couple of weeks to a couple months down the road, see what they've got going on with their schedule. But very, very, very close friends of mine, local investigators, two wonderful people that I'm very, very, very dearly fond about, and yeah, they're just great people. So hi, Jackie. Hey, Tina. Thanks for showing up, both of you girls. Tina actually just released her second book, Winds of Terror. So you got that shit right here, because I'm on top of it like that.
What's up with the big windmill on there?
Well,
does that have something to do with what the book's about?
Yeah, a little bit, and a little bit not. When Tina comes on as a guest, she will be on. She wants to come on. But when she comes on as a guest, she can talk a little bit more about it. But if you you cross over Ohio, over the Ohio border and going into Ohio from Indiana, when you're headed towards like Paulding and Bryan, Ohio, and all that stuff, there's huge windmill farms out there.
Right.
Windmill farms.
I actually clean a couple of banks out in Bryan, Ohio, believe it or not.
Okay, right on. Well, very cool. And I think that at one point in time I heard that she actually has a fear of windmills. So I could be wrong about that, Tina. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think so. But and that's the second book that she's done, actually. She's actually released a book a couple years ago called Living in the Shadows of Paranormal. And I read this book. I purchased this book about a year and a half or 2 years ago. And it's a very good read. But I haven't gotten to her new one yet. But so let's talk about real quick, because I'm pretty sure where I got sidetracked. But I want to talk a little bit about your newest book, Cheryl. And about the triangles, the mysterious triangles and things happening within the United States. I mean, you cover everything from the Alaskan Triangle to the Lake Michigan Triangle, and so many other places that are in here that connect some of these crazy things that's happened throughout history. How did you go about researching all of these, and how did you find all of these triangular, I guess you want to say, patterns between these places? I mean, where did that all start with you?
This is really funny. It was 2 years ago. Somebody wanted me to be on their podcast, and they says, somebody used to be my friend, and he says, well, what should we talk about? And I says, I don't know. So then I'm going, hey, triangles. You know, I started looking at this stuff, all these triangles. I said, let's do mysterious triangles of the U.S. Well, he blew me off, and we're not friends anymore. I says, I'm writing a book now, so thank you so much for blowing me off your podcast, because now I have a book. And I didn't realize there were so many.
Yeah, I thought there was just the Bermuda Triangle. I wasn't until Jason had mentioned that. And I was like, "There's more than one." And he's like, "Yeah, there's a bunch."
I started checking into that. Yeah. And go, wow. And they're in there's some all over the world, but I just did the U.S. And I says, okay, and I'm thinking it's mostly missing people, stuff like that. That's what I was expecting, paranormal stuff.
Right.
Missing planes. But then I didn't realize that there are UFO connections in every single one of the triangles.
Really?
I had no idea my book was going in that direction.
So it kind of just organically went that direction.
Yeah, which is why Bill was my person to go to.
That's the weirdest thing. As soon as you said UFO connections, all the triangles, I got this high-pitched ringing noise in my right ear. I have no idea what it was. But it was like, beep.
Oh, that's right. We're here.
I'm like, what's going on here? It's freaky. If I get abducted, Okay, while we're on this podcast, just pray that they don't probe me. I don't care about anything else. I just don't want to probe.
Well, see, I've read the several of the books, listened to a couple of them, the Missing 411 books by David
Oh,
Pilates.
that's great, isn't it? Yeah.
And I'm wondering, do these triangles kind of do disappearances, paranormal activity? You said UFO encounters,
Right.
so it's just
Right.
like a
So,
hotbed of
yeah,
activity, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
So
There's
if any
cryptids,
of
Bigfoot, all kinds of, different. Now, the missing 411, he doesn't believe that it's UFOs.
Right.
what does David Pilates actually believe about that? Just shoddy police work? I mean, what else could it be?
No, it's like there's dimensions that people are falling through.
It's like an
okay.
interdimensional kind of thing is what his...
Yeah,
And you
'cause
see,
I met him
for
at
me,
Chicago Ghost Con, and I was talking to him about this. Did you think this was about aliens? He goes, that has nothing to do with aliens.
Ah.
Well, that's his idea. I don't know.
Right.
Well, he's really passionate, and he's got some fire to him that you don't see on a lot of his videos, But to me, though, when you talk about dimensions and wormholes and things that open up, I throw that right in with I group that with the aliens. Until I've got another group that's got enough content to put it in with that, I put in that because and I think T and I've covered this. I think we both believe that space travel by aliens is done interdimensionally.
I think that's
things like
logically to me that would be, looking at it from a logical standpoint, it would be, traveling millions upon millions of miles to get somewhere. You'd think if someone could travel that far, it would be like interdimensionally.
They gotta go through time warps and wormholes. There's no way.
Right. So, to me, that would make the most sense, So maybe one of those gateways open up and you just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time and you're swallowed up by whatever that is.
You can't get back out. Yeah. I believe Bigfoot's interdimensional. That's why he comes and goes.
Me and you can be friends now because I believe that as well.
Yeah.
I think he's
I encountered something really strange at Bachelor's Grove.
Oh, tell us about it. Bachelor's Grove Cemetery in Chicago, huh? Okay.
Oh, my favorite place. I was filming a documentary with Chris Halton from the UK.
Uh-huh.
It's on YouTube, A Haunting at Bachelor's Grove. I'm in there. And
Go check it out, people.
I never walked down the paths there because Bachelor's Grove is in the middle of the Ryobi Forest Preserve by Chicago, and a woman doesn't walk down the paths by herself, but I will go in the cemetery by myself all the time. Shame on me. And he says, well, what's down this path? I said, I don't know. I've never been down there. So we start walking down there, and it's all along the creek, but the creek was dry at that time. And we're walking, all of a sudden, I'm hearing tree knocking.
Okay. From different areas then? From different areas or just from one direction?
From one direction to our left. And I'm grabbing my phone going, I'm getting a picture of this. I know what it is. And he goes, somebody's chopping a tree. I said, we're in a forest preserve. They're not allowed to do that. And that's not chopping. I know what an X sounds like. That's somebody hitting a tree. And we kept hearing it and kept hearing it. You could hear it in the video. Even though he was talking, I told him to shut up. do your over, whatever you're gonna put in there later. Let's hear the stuff.
Right.
And right away I go, who's in there? And I should have said that because then it stopped. And I go, okay. So then we kept walking down the path, and it didn't go too far. We got to the end of the path, and there were two of those structures that they say Bigfoot builds.
Yeah.
Okay.
With all the fringes. I got pictures of those. There were two structures back there. And so we came back, got to that same spot, and there was that tree knocking again. Still, I couldn't see anything. Tried to take pictures, nothing came out. And all of a sudden, something walked between us. We couldn't see it. It smelled so bad.
Really?
But you knew that it had passed you. You can you just know when it passes you.
Oh my God, yeah. But we couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it walked past us and into the dry riverbed.
So, completely off topic, that wasn't your cell phone that rang?
No.
And that wasn't yours, Jason?
No, mine's on silent.
Because mine's on silent, too, and I heard that as well. I thought you were just making a joke.
Oh, about that large noise,
The
that
ringing,
loud noise in my ear?
That wasn't your phone?
No,
There's several
dude,
people in the chat that heard it, too.
No. I mean, no, the high pitch. I mean, I know I tried to mock it, but it was really extremely high because I was like, ow.
Dude.
You know, as soon as she said UFOs, it was like, I was like,
I don't like that at all.
I always stuff like this on podcasts. You'll hear spirit voices and stuff.
Dude, that's really weird because there's a couple people that actually heard that as well besides us. I thought your phone rang.
That's cool. No, it wasn't. Dude, I'm actually on YouTube right now. I'm actually looking at the chat room. So, I mean, nothing rang, nothing. So, now let me ask you this. In all of your travels, okay, what is the most frightening experience you've ever had?
That was going to be my question.
I mean, give me an experience, Cheryl, that you've had that you don't. And I've got another question to follow up with, and I already know this answer, but I want you to talk about it. But give me the one time when something happened where you're like, okay, I'm good if that never ever happens to me again.
That's exactly what I said. I was with 3 of my friends at Madison Seminary, and I says we've been there many times. You know, a lot of stuff happens, but we never had anything bad happen. So we were at it's called it's at the Civil War ring, it's called. And there was a dining room table in this room. So we thought we'd sit down, and Alex thought he would take his radio out, and see what happens. So we all took a place around 3 of us took a place around the table, and I looked over at the chair on the other side, and I'm thinking, I thought I saw a shadow over there, and I'm going, somebody better not sit over there. Something didn't feel right with me. So my friend Keith comes in, and he walks in, and he goes to grab the chair. I said, don't sit in that chair. Why? I said, I don't think you should sit in that chair. There's nothing there. So he sat down, and there was this mirror on the side of the room sitting on the floor too. And all of a sudden we're sitting there talking, and Alex is laying down on the table, and his body's contorting and doing all this. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, it's on my back. It's on my back. And I said, what? It's on my back. So I'm grabbing his arm. I'm going, get off his back, get off his back. Then it would move from him, go over to Keith, back and forth. It didn't bother me because I guess I was stronger than it or something. And then all of a sudden, it started talking through me, making me swear at Alex because it wanted it to hear. And then we decided, okay, we're going to stop now. We're going to go outside. So we went outside. We came back up to the room. And as we're walking up the stairs, I'm hearing a voice say, they're coming back. Now, I thought it was in my head, but then they all heard it too. And I said, okay. So now we went in the room. Now it felt different.
Mm-hmm.
Now it was really getting all over Alex, getting over Keith, going back and forth. And all of a sudden, it walked away from Alex, and I saw Keith sit straight up in his chair, and I knew what happened. It jumped inside of him.
Wow.
His eyes were black. His eyes were black. I said, Keith, are you okay? And in a voice that wasn't his, he said, I'm fine. And we didn't know what to do. What do you do when there's your friend's possessed? I've taken the crucifix off my head. I'm sticking it on his forehead. We're praying over him. And the one time I don't have holy water with me. Yeah, and we had to finally get him out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's going, just walk it off, walk it off. I go, he can't walk this off. And I ran to my truck because I was vending that weekend, and I had some executioner medals.
Mm-hmm.
I ran out there. I got one. I stuck it on him. I go, here, put this on. He goes, what is it? I just put it on. And immediately his face changed. His eyes were regular again. The spirit didn't like him wearing that thing. No, I don't ever want to see that happen again, ever.
That's intense. It's a very
I was going to
intense
say
situation.
now, has anybody else that you,
yeah, what if we couldn't save him? Thank goodness I had that medal.
Has anybody else that you know that's investigated there have a similar instance to that?
No. I don't know what happened that night. That's not usual.
I mean, at least in my belief system, that's totally different than, a ghost. It's the spirit, something that takes possession of them. So there's obviously something that's
there was
dark and
a
sinister.
guy there. I don't know if this guy was a doctor. I would see him. I don't know if he was a doctor or in charge of something. Mm-hmm. And he killed a woman there. And she was actually, in the room. He chased her into the room, into the corner. That's who I saw in the corner. And it was him. And he just was really mad that night. Maybe it was the anniversary of the killing. I don't know. Right place, wrong time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You could have just been in that spot there. And the weird thing about the mirror, which I didn't know till later, Keith kept looking at the mirror, and we go, "Don't look at the mirror, don't look at the mirror." And he goes, "But I want to. Well, what happened? His wife was at home in another state, and at the same time, they had a mirror in the bedroom, and she felt somebody grabbing her leg. It's like they were connecting through the mirror, and he's going, "Help me, help me."
That's a pretty
Isn't
crazy
that
story.
Crazy? That is nuts. You want to hear a crazy story? There you go.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Yeah, that is. That's absolutely freaking. It's crazy. It's fascinating.
You don't want this to ever happen again.
No, I'm good on that. I'll buy the DVD when it comes out.
Right.
I don't ever want to be part of that. And I guess that, looking back at, at instances like that, and I try not to I shouldn't make a joke about it because it is a really serious and a really scary situation. But I guess that, going into a lot of these places, and as many places as have been into from all over the freaking goddamn country, that it's never happened to me. Although I will say this, I think that I've brought something home with me at least once or twice in my day, and had a short tenure, with something in my house that, and when you're investigating so much, like Cheryl, if you're out every single freaking weekend and then all of a sudden on a Wednesday in the middle of your work week, when you're not even thinking about the paranormal, shit starts happening. You start going back to all the places you've been and what in the hell could have followed you home. And if you're investigating a lot, you have no clue what the hell's there. Mm-hmm. You have no clue because you're like, shit. I've been in like 5 places in the last 4 weeks.
Right.
Oh my God, was this instance 2 weeks ago that I blew off? Was this something already here? Is this recent from the last investigation? And for me, both times, it was several months, and then it just kind of faded out and left. Yeah, because, for me, it was other people that were coming into my house that were saying, I know, I legitimately hear things. I'm like, you do? Because I've been hearing shit too.
Jackie Hicks would like to know where that experience took. Was that Madison Seminary? Is that what you said that was at?
Yeah.
Okay, it was Madison Seminary. And Jackie.
Yeah.
Hey, Amanda, thanks for stopping in tonight, by the way. Amanda Messenberg's been in with us for the last 2 or 3 podcasts.
Yes.
So thank you very much for
the weird thing when after Keith came back to normal, he's going, I'm sorry. And I said, well, don't be sorry. He goes, no, I'm sorry. I said, what are you sorry for? He goes, when I looked at you, he goes, I wanted to kill you.
Dude, that's wild, man.
And he doesn't remember 10 minutes. He lost 10 minutes because that wasn't him.
Wow.
Okay, now, that blew my mind. Let's see if you can match that.
You're welcome.
Have you ever been in an investigation where you have literally been the dessert plate, should I say, for the paranormal?
Yeah.
Groped and grabbed and things like that. Now, did you ask for that, or does it just happen on its own, or what?
I had a spirit reach in and grab my heart and squeeze it. Yeah.
Yikes.
Dude, that's crazy, man. Dude, what the fuck?
So what would that feel like then? I mean, is there a palpitation that happens? Is there something that you feel inside physically that?
Yeah, you could feel like something was squeezing your heart, and I was having trouble breathing, and I said, let me go. I wasn't being ignorant. I wanted it to let me go, so I was trying to be nice, let me go. Mm-hmm. We were at it was the Grosse Ile Officers Club, so it was a men's pilot club. It wasn't for women, so there were women investigating that night. And this thing attacked all 3 women. Didn't bother the guys, but it grabbed all of our hearts.
Didn't want you there, of course.
Right, it grabbed all of our hearts.
Dude, that's fucking wild, man.
Then
fucking wild, dude.
Then we went there a second time after that, and again this thing, this time it was just kind of poking us a little bit, in the leg. And I said, now come on, I says, we talked about this last time. I says, we just came here to visit with you. It's not very nice to be poking people. I said, I'm being nice to you. You should be nice to me. So he stopped. But one of the other women said, you can't touch me. You just stop it. Just stop it. Okay, that was kind of provoking. Insane. That was kind of provoking, right? So we get ready to go back downstairs, and all of a sudden we're by the railing, and she was standing with her back to the railing, and something told her to move over. She moved over, and 2 seconds later, something picked her up 12 inches off the floor and slammed her against the wall. It was trying to throw her over the railing.
Where was that at? Same place?
Yeah.
Wow.
We didn't go back there again.
Yeah. Well, it sounds to me like they were pretty pissed off that they didn't want women in there. That's crazy.
Well, it's how you talk to them too, see, because it wasn't bothering me now because I was being nice, but she kind of go, don't touch me, leave me alone. It was kind of like, oh, you tempting me to,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there have been on several occasions, even me, and it doesn't. I don't know how often it happens because you don't talk about it too much. But there's been times when some questionable grabbing has happened, and I'm just like, even as a guide, you kind of feel violated because in the back of your mind, you're like, God, I hope that you're a female ghost or whatever it was. Your first initial thought when something like that happens is there must have been a muscle spasm. You're walking around, it's late at night, muscle spasm, and then it happens again. And it's not like a poke or a spasm, it's more like a squeeze, but then it gets more forceful, and I know that when it comes to women in the paranormal, there is an awful lot of that on their end as well. So, and it's just one of the elements that, even in the spirit life, the women today have to deal with on investigations as well because men were pervs. Well, we still are.
I was investigating with Keith when we were filming, and we were in a jail, and him and I were sitting in one of the cells. Oh yeah, and there was a spirit having a good time with me.
With Keith Age? With Keith Age? Really? Where were you guys at? What jail?
It was in Southern Illinois. I can't think of the name of it. It was way down by Cairo. I can't think of the name of it.
I can't. Yeah, I was going to say I can't think of it.
But it was like it started by flipping my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then its hands were going other places. But
oh wow.
He's got it all on film,
Does he really?
Yeah.
I believe it.
I believe it.
He probably didn't do anything to offer a hand. He just sat there and recorded it.
That is insane, dude. Insane, man.
Oh, that's.
I might have been talking dirty to the ghost.
Oh, okay. You are bringing it on yourself. Look at you, shame on.
Well, no. After he started flipping my hair, I might have started talking dirty to him.
Right.
Yeah. See, she wasn't a victim. She was a perpetrator.
Taking advantage of the situation.
Shame on you. You feel bad. I hope you felt bad taking care of spirits like that.
Gotta have some fun.
Yeah, I suppose. So what's going on with you in the near future? What is Cheryl looking forward to right now?
Well, I'm looking forward next weekend to go back to Serpent Mound. Mm-hmm. And then the end of July, I'm going back to Madison Seminary for a private investigation.
Awesome. And where can people find your book, Dimensions? Where can they find that in your other book? I mean, where can people locate that and purchase?
Amazon.
Amazon.
I've actually got 5 books.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yes.
So they're just looking for Cheryl Lynn Carter on Amazon Books.
Amazon.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know how, but I got one directly from the lady herself, and it was signed. So, Nana Nana Boo Boo.
I guess so. I'll just buy
but
one.
Well, T, if you come to a couple events, you will probably meet her in person. Are you coming to Post Town this year, Cheryl?
Absolutely.
Did I announce you already for that event?
No, I don't think so.
Well, shame on you. You need to get me your information so I can get you on that list. Well, there you go, T. Come to Post Town. You guys can meet.
I think that's pretty much a done deal. I think you've got Jennifer. She's all psyched up and revved up to go. So I'm going to be drug around the state of Ohio, the country here. Yeah.
I guarantee once you get there, and Cheryl will agree with me, you'll find yourself amongst a lot of really awesome people who are just really cool to be around.
It seems that way. It definitely seems that way.
Yeah, for conferences that I do or that Keith does or that Daryl does, we don't have those types of people, problems, negative people at our conferences, because you will get your ass bounced out right fucking now. We don't mess around. And all my security guys are all concealed carry guys. They don't mess around either.
Awesome.
So, yep, it'll be a good time. Cheryl, thank you very much for coming on and being a guest tonight.
Yes.
This was a super great episode. Yeah. I really love talking to you. I miss you dearly. I can't wait till we get to see each other again. So it looks like, unless we cross paths before that, it looks like Post Town's going to be it, and we'll probably investigate Post Town together again. So,
awesome.
It'll be a good time. Thank you very much. I look forward to finish reading your book. So thank you for giving us some time to ask you a bunch of crazy questions, and I look forward to whatever you do in the future. Mm-hmm. So good luck.
I'm glad I blew your mind tonight.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I still can't get over it grabbing my heart shit. That shit's wild, man. That actually gave me goosebumps thinking about it. I was like, man, I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation. I sure as shit wouldn't go back for seconds, that's for sure.
People worried about being scratched.
Right, yeah. That's insanity, man.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much, Cheryl. You're awesome. Thank you to everybody who showed up again tonight, all 7 of you who are still in the chat room tonight.
We really appreciate that.
we appreciate every freaking single one of you guys. Keep an eye out for Patreon membership links coming up between me and TJ.
Yeah.
And the Patreon podcast will be rolling out here, hopefully in anywhere from a month to a couple months from now. So we're going to give you some inside firsthand view at some shit behind the scenes.
Yeah, we're getting ready to do some cool stuff next weekend. Jennifer can't stop talking about it.
Yes, we are. It's going to be a fabulous time. Yeah. I can't wait. Thanks again, Jackie, Samantha, as always, Amanda, as always. Thank you for coming in. Tina, thank you for being in for the show. Cheryl, thank you again. TJ, it's awesome as always doing an episode with you, brother.
All right.
And I talk to all you guys later. Peace out.
See you later, everybody.
Bye-bye.